What the fuck happened there,
It's
bro?
been so long.
I have no
You're on focus.
Oh, wait. No,
Okay.
I had it.
Oh, we're gonna need to find like
I
something.
wonder if I don't know. Maybe it was enough people are getting triggered about the whole debate that they just once 10 flags happened.
We have trolled and really tried to set people off. Like nothing like this has ever happened on my show.
That's
Yeah.
mad. That's
Ever.
insane. We've had so many of these. We haven't got massive numbers, but what the flip happened there?
Yeah, I've never had a YouTube stream crash on me.
Today
I
is
don't think it's got anything to do with anyone flagging anything because I know that would have happened to my show. Like at least
5,000
I've had like 5,000 people in the chat and said some shit just to troll people, and not once has any of this ever happened on my channel. So it's got to have something to do with something that was being played in the background.
Yeah. It is. There's something video content restriction or something. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think you're right. What was playing though?
Let's do.
It's mostly Bethesda trailers, yeah.
Tony, you can't really. It doesn't make sense, and it's free advertising, and it's something they already put out there for free.
Yeah.
It's so anti-consumer.
Hey guys,
this
let's have
whole
a great
acquisition.
conversation about copyright flags on YouTube.
Yeah.
We are live. We're getting YouTube comments coming back through now, so hopefully this one will stay up. I'm gonna stick to nice consumer-friendly Sony trailers for the rest of the show.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Whoa,
No, it does look like we're live. I think. Yeah.
Are we actually live now? Oh god! I just
think.
called it Dealer and Co. Go live. This is the dealer show.
I'll try to tweet this out too.
Oh,
Welcome back, everybody. We were having some weird stuff going down. I pointed it out though. Just want to point that out.
yeah. Sorry, guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so where you left off was we're asking if whether Sony can counter the move. They can if you start ending streams like
Get
this.
blocked again.
You gotta explain what
Don't talk
happened.
about Sony. We'll get
Explain
blocked.
what happened, guys. All right, basically what happened was they were playing some nice trailers in the background, and one of them got flagged for no reason at all, and then that brought the whole stream down. So.
Oh man, that's crazy. Are you playing Marvel's trailers? Is that going to take us down?
Yeah, you're not really safe, honestly. You might, why don't you go to an Xbox conference? I've never been flagged for showing anything. Well, hang on. No, sometimes there are like Japanese games. I'll show like a few seconds of one of those and it'll get flagged right there.
Japanese
but-
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like those guys are like, I fucking hate free advertising. No.
But Bethesda, yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Tokyo Game Show this weekend, everybody.
You got some gameplay that, that's why we were on the gameplay.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's just try and go back to the topics at hand. Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about just the whole Sony, like their
Did you tweet this
next
out,
move
Gaz?
potentially to this.
Again, let me tweet it out.
Yeah, you got to.
Oh shit.
We're starting over here.
Oh,
I put up a link on my social media, hopefully.
Okay, I'm gonna do it now. I'm just doing it now. So guys, this is how it works in the background. You're seeing behind the scenes of when it all goes to shit.
But we're all talking and this hasn't happened. Like this is a very rare thing. A live stream crashes. Like if a live stream gets blocked, that happens usually like after the stream. But during it, I've never seen that.
Yeah, and YouTube didn't actually explain why. They just said content restrictions.
Just video content restriction. Yeah.
Again. So Tony, just tell us everyone as I try and rapidly fire the tweet out. November launch, Sony, it dominates Xbox despite this massive acquisition.
Yeah, I'll show that. So, I mean, no matter what, that's the situation. At the end of the day, truly, PlayStation is most likely going to have more PlayStations sold for those that care about that. Cool. But that's just because that's what they've set themselves up with. Like, we have only this, and you can only get this on our system, and their launch lineup is fantastic. And I keep telling people that Sony PlayStation right now, they are sprinting out of the gate. They are coming out way faster.
Well,
They're more amusing to watch. They got so much stuff like right from day one that you can do. That's new. You are new.
I mean, the Bugsnax ain't even out. What are you talking about? They got Spider-Man.
Hey, that's in the first season. That's what I mean.
According to their own logic, I don't need a PS5 to play Spider-Man. Come to PS4.
No, you don't.
What do I need a PS5 for? Tell me that.
Demon Souls. And then there's this like whatever the Destruction Stars game, whatever.
Okay, no one gives a fuck about that. Let's be clear.
I think it looks neat. It's not gonna be big though.
Will eventually come to PC and apparently other consoles. I don't think that was a mistake. And by other consoles, they could mean PS4. It doesn't necessarily mean Xbox. So Demon Souls, which is $70, we got to talk about that price hike because of Sony. They're setting a standard for every other publisher, every developer. Hey, we're charging 70. By the way, on Xbox, those same Ubisoft games that are 70 on PS5, they're still $60 because Microsoft did not set a standard.
But see, so that's what I'm getting at though, is that like, sure, if some of their games become cross-platform at the beginning, sure, there's the Little Big Planet one, I forget what that's called, Sackboy's Adventure or something. It's amazing because there's actually like a list of a dozen games that are going to be on the Sony system at launch that will not be available on the Series X. I want to ignore PC for a second. I know it's like a big market, but just strictly speaking to the console gamer,
to the numbers. Apparently,
but just like the console side of things, like ignoring phones, ignoring PCs, like strictly speaking, if you just want to play a game on your TV using some console that you bought, there's like this list of a dozen or so games that you can play on PlayStation, and a lot of them are reputable names, whether they're on PS4 or not. And meanwhile, Xbox, they have a few things too. It's just not as impressive of a launch day list. But hold the phone before anybody thinks like, okay, so PlayStation. The long game. That's what I'm saying. And strictly speaking on the console side of things, PlayStation's running out of the gate. They're sprinting. Xbox is jogging. They are setting themselves up so they can make the long run. So they have all these studios. So they have all these things. So yeah, PlayStation probably will sell more consoles at launch. But in the long game, it's like, how can you argue the value that is now Game Pass, the value that is all access, the value that is the coming games? That's what I mean. It's like one's coming out sprinting, the other one, I'm coming, don't worry, and I'm gonna pass you or something. I don't know, but that's my thoughts.
Somebody can probably send this on Twitter, but apparently, because Greenberg's even claiming this, we have the most launch day exclusives on Xbox.
Yes.
What is that list? I'd actually like to compare that because I mean, you could have. I mean, for one, I'm still getting the Spider-Man on PS5, even though it's on my PS4, and that's what I only bring this logic back to crush people with their own stupid logic. Well, why are you getting an Xbox? You can play it on the Ouya. You know, because I fucking want to, bitch. That's why. I want more performance. I want the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm a console guy. Right? I've played on what will be a 3080 soon, right? I'm still gonna play it on my console. So at the end of the day, like, why get Spider-Man on the PS5? Because I'm on 60 frames. Why get Demon Souls on the PS5? Because maybe I'm a console guy on the PlayStation side. You don't necessarily need a, you know, hey, here's one maze. It's like a rat in a maze, and you got to find the reason that you need to play it there. How about I just want to play it there? You know what I'm saying? Call of Duty, maybe I want to play it there. Same for Xbox. So I mean, it's not that you have to play any place or another, but play where you want. That's kind of the point, I guess. Yeah. Maybe here, guys. I'm gonna tweet this back out, man. It sucks that we got shut down there because of these whatever trailer we were playing in the background. It's fucking the stupidest thing in the world. But we will try to get some more people back in here.
Yeah, sorry guys. I don't know what happened. We still are a big question mark hanging around what actually happened, and maybe it was content that we played, but just trailers we played all the time on here. Weird. YouTube, come on, man. Sort it out. But thank you, Dealer, for like reinvigorating the chat. And thanks. Sorry about that, guys.
Too much truth.
With too much truth. But yeah, exactly. I'm spitting facts. This is what happens when Dealer comes on. He just spits too much hot fire.
Facts. The Xbox news, by the way.
Turn me off.
Shout out to the Twitter account Xbox News. Shout out to you, buddy.
Actually, that's a sick guy, buddy. Whoever the team that runs that. Sick Xbox News. Love you guys.
I think Dan, there's somebody in the chat here. He has a good point. Dan192, he says, I think Xbox will have more users this coming generation because of the added value. I would agree. I think that's what's going to happen. There's more consoles. There's more PlayStation sold. But there's more Xbox platform users. I think that'll.
It's open enough that you could interpret that as console or platform. It's definitely going to have more platform users. I say definitely, but yeah, you'd expect with that massive ecosystem that they've got. There's going to be a lot of people on Xbox Live. You want to play on your
phone. You want to wherever you want. And
15 million. What? Like Sony last time had 2.2 million.
that's an entire other subject in itself, but like that's impressive because just earlier on this year they reported 10 and they got another 5 million over the course of like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months or something. So
well, they had been at
and
10
now that's
for,
before the Bethesda
for a little
thing.
bit. By when they announced that, they had already been there for several months because I heard about that. I was actually kind of teasing that at the same time as the Bethesda thing on a podcast I did last year, and I wasn't sure if they were going to announce that stuff because apparently the thinking is, hey, if we let everyone know how well Game Pass is doing, we're going to have to pay more for the games we get in there.
Oh,
and that's one of the reasons they didn't want to just come out and say it. But apparently, the guys at the very top of Microsoft wanted that information out there. And yeah, it looks good for the stockholders, but you know they're gonna have to pay a little more for the game developers. So, which is kind of weird considering they get more exposure when they're in there. Thinking maybe they would pay less, you know, because they're gonna get more sales or this or that. But at the end of the day, hey, shout out to everyone joining us back after the crazy YouTube crash of 2020. Rona strikes again.
I love how you say that.
Yeah, somebody's calling you Deal Pickle. I don't know if that's a nickname.
Deal
for
Pickle.
You,
I kind of like that. Thank you.
So, you know, we're talking about Game Pass just spreading. Xbox apparently sold out in Japan.
Someone bought all three.
Because they only sit 4 of them there. Shit. I better not hear anybody bragging about Xbox selling out in Japan. No one gives a fuck. There's 6 of them in the whole country. No one cares.
It depends on how many they have, but I think that's a really notable thing because that market is just like not there for them.
Well, somebody Google if the Xbox One sold out in Japan when it first hit.
No, I mean maybe
somebody Google like
no, maybe yeah.
Google the delivery charges.
Bought them and we're like, why did I do that?
Yeah, I mean honestly, I wouldn't push this too much. Microsoft know the real deal there. The real game there is xCloud.
Yeah.
The delivery of an Xbox from Japan is cheaper than the eBay scalping price anyway, so it's going to sell out.
Do you think the Xbox Series S is an enticing prospect for Japanese people because they love their smaller?
I think anybody who's been paying attention, any Xbox is a prospect at this point.
Yeah,
a lot of people turn stability and they turn it against the console. You can play it on PC. You're right. My same purchase does play on PC. That's a good thing. Why are you holding that against this box?
That's an amazing thing. That's actually that's a good point, Dealer. It is because that's a point that I actually forget is a thing for Xbox because that's what I was about to bring up. Like, because Gaz was bringing up, you know, is people wanted Series S and you're saying just Xbox in general. But what if you didn't have Game Pass? That's an interesting point. Why wouldn't you though? Why wouldn't you? But yeah, I forget about that idea that, you know, you buy a game for Xbox. You get it available on PC if there's a PC version. That's amazing.
Remember PC used to brag about cross-buy with Vita and PS3. Yeah. What the hell happened to that mentality? Oh, that's right. Gone. Xbox did it, and no one else is doing it. So
if you want the upgraded version of Spider-Man, you have to buy the ultimate version of Miles Morales.
You want that Spider-Man action at 60 frames? You're just gonna need a PS Vita.
No, but well, all this negativity going in. I've never seen Sony face this kind of negativity since the PlayStation 3 launch. And do you guys really think that that kind of goodwill on the Xbox side and the negativity going into next gen is going to have a discernible effect on how these consoles perform next gen? Do you think it'll be like Xbox are, because we're talking about Japan and it selling out, you know, it just makes me think, well, generally I think Xbox will reclaim the UK and the US as its prime territories, but and I think that whilst it's not tangible, you know, you can't quantify all this goodwill that Xbox is amassing, but Sony are doing some pretty shitty things. It's why I go ham at them on Twitter. It's just because it's so easy. It's the same way flip it around when Xbox One was coming. I was calling them out and I was saying that they were shit. Now it's PlayStation, £70 or $70 for games. You know, Xbox not doing that. That's crazy. They're doing the opposite.
As of right now, no, but I expect.
They
will follow suit, right? Do you think they will follow suit?
I think so.
Yeah,
maybe
eventually.
But they've got, you know, the whole Game Pass thing, and third parties are gonna want to charge the same across the board, and it becomes a battle of perception as well. There's a reason that the Xbox 2, aka the 360, right, became the 360 is because the PS3 seemed like it was further ahead than the Xbox 2. So they found a way to put 3 at the beginning of the the moniker for Xbox 360, and that's why it was, there's a thing, like, there's a reason a lot of games don't want to be priced lower, even though they know they're not really a AAA game. It's because they don't want to be thought of as less than the game next to them at a higher price, and that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, Ubisoft game at 60 on the Xbox and 70 on the PS5, I don't know if people are going to think that's a last-gen version, or it becomes a battle perception at that point too.
Yeah. Well, Asa, do you think like that negative perception is significant going into a run up to next gen?
As in specifically the missteps that Sony are taking, they need to pull Jim Ryan back before he does some serious damage. Yeah, I mean it's not a good look, is it? There's so much, and Microsoft. I think we said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the next gen upgrades and the things that Microsoft are doing there, where you've got the smart delivery and everything you buy in the previous console is you can play it on the next one with the enhancements, and that's obviously caused Sony a lot of problems with Spider-Man. And when you look at that, we said a couple of weeks ago that what Sony are doing is actually kind of the standard that players are used to from previous years and generations, and what Microsoft are doing. Yeah, it is traditional, and what Microsoft are doing, people say it's they're like standing with the players on that, and they actually stand for the players on that because players didn't think to ask for that until it happened. So it's all driven by Microsoft, and that's not to say that they're driving it because they want to make Sony look silly, because like I said, I don't think Sony are that important to Microsoft at the moment. But yeah, there's a massive contrast between the two companies, and Sony just keep on digging that hole.
I mean, I find it weird that we're in 26th of September. I still haven't seen a non-rendered version of the PlayStation 5. We're going to see it next week. Are we going to get hot chip breakdown? Are we actually going to see? Microsoft gave it to Digital Foundry months ago. Then hot chip, they just tore it to pieces. Digital Foundry learned
this
more.
This thing is apparently like 16 inches tall, man.
How's it going to fit in Japanese homes? It's just not. It doesn't make sense.
I think they're going to live inside of it. I don't know. I mean, if those. Because remember, they're going off of the disk drive. They've actually shown that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it really is 16 inches tall, is this the biggest console of all time?
100% it is.
It's for sure.
People don't understand that delta still. I'm harping on that shit for a reason. It's real. And when I say 45 frames per second difference, I don't mean one's at 30 and one's at, 75. No, I'm talking about that extra performance on top of maybe what would be an even frame rate. Because remember, they can actually set these frame rates where they want them now. You're talking about more performance, better ray tracing, better graphics on top of that, or most likely higher resolution. And those frames are going to be poured into pixels, effects, etc. Right? That's what I mean by that. I've explained that a million times, but there's still some people out there that actually think I mean literal frames. This is, though I do think, by the way, that Microsoft will have some games at 120. Obviously, the PS5 won't. And those deltas on the resolution side are going to be biggest when those frame rates are that high. But still, this is definitely a far more powerful system with Microsoft, especially when you got ray tracing and everything on. And Sony aren't there. The system's a little big. They've come in at a pretty, we're hearing there's not that many of those $400 systems out there for a reason. And man, what a clusterfuck. I want to see this thing in a human's arms. I want to see somebody holding this thing. And I don't want it to be 6 people or the guy from My Pillow. I want it to be a normal ass person with a PS5 in their hands, and I want to see how big this thing is.
Maybe 2 people holding at either end.
Yeah.
I think the more accurate thing you'll see is just a family like put their baby against the system, and it's like bigger.
I mean, how big is this baby? Then we got to question how big the baby is, and that's why they use the disc slot, because we know how big that thing is. So. Yeah. I don't know, chat. Let us know your thoughts on that. And by the way, we're back up to over 200 watching. Guys, hit the like button, share this out, help us get back up to where we were. We probably won't hit it, but again, the stream crashed earlier. We had some footage on the screen. Somebody's watching some Teletubbies fan fiction, and the stream shut down, and we're back live. So thank you guys for tuning back in.
Thank you, Dealey's doing my job for me.
Somebody's got 2 gas.
I'm too busy to try not to laugh. But the Bethesda buyout, to me, and it's maybe a bit controversial, but I think, and this is what the original stream was called, Xbox flips the switch. Right. I actually wanted to call it flips the script, because it's neck and neck. In fact, I would say it's like Xbox is coming up. The market dominance of Sony is is dwindling, in my opinion. Who the fuck is that? Oh shit! And scared the shit out of me. And yeah, so you know, I actually think this is Microsoft's chance now to really bring the market back. And you know, we see it through an Xbox lens, but really it's great for PlayStation players, because better competition is what we need. Last gen, Sony had it on a silver platter. They literally all the missteps. I did a video on why, you know, Phil Spencer saved Xbox, and because it was so bad. This time it's going to be one of the best, if not the best gens ever, in my opinion. And I think it's because Xbox have made it even. Do you guys think it's like even? Like, Tony, do you think like Xbox are now neck and neck with Sony, or is there still a disparity?
So I mean, it just depends on your outlook on it, and because I didn't really get to throw in my answer to the previous question, which was just the whole, does the negative light affect Sony or whatever? And my frustrated answer is no, it freaking doesn't. And this is what pisses me off like crazy, because their fan base is so attached to that, just the games. It don't matter if you can get the games cheaper. It don't matter if you can get a free upgrade. It don't matter if you have something like Game Pass. It don't matter. I'm just on PlayStation because they make great games.
But isn't that important, Tony? That's the most pro-consumer thing, having the best games, no?
Yeah, no, it is if you got the money to spend for it. Like, I'm broke as a joke, so that's why I love Xbox. But I'm willing to admit that, like, that's the primary reason. Like, other than I've been on Xbox pretty much all my life, but
accessibility,
yeah, accessibility. But so to answer this question though, did they get like a neck up? It really depends on your outlook on it. My outlook is, oh my gosh, look at all these IPs they now own. Look at all these studios they now own. Yes, they did all these acquisitions 2 years ago, and I'm still waiting to see a lot more of those effects in my hands versus knowing Avowed is coming, versus knowing Fable is coming at some point, versus knowing Halo Infinite got pushed back. You know, that I still think it was a good move. It hurts like hell, but like there's a lot of the moves that they did 2 years ago that I'm still like wanting to feel are in my hands and I'm experiencing, and it's like an 8 out of 10 or up game kind of a thing, and it's a new IP or it's a returning old one.
Yeah.
And they're setting themselves up for a great future. I just want that future to be more current.
Yeah.
And because of that, PlayStation folks might feel like, well, I'm in that future now. I have those games I like. I have those IPs I like. They're in my hands right now. Whereas on Xbox, I'm like,
where though?
I'm
like,
waiting for you, man.
But I'm like, which one? The Spider-Man DLC, fucking Demon Souls, which isn't there even their, is that their IP? What's going on there? Like, what? Where though? God of War's 2021. That'll get pushed
and
back.
Again, so I say this as a person that doesn't play PC. Like, I'm completely off
even
of PC,
if you're not
that's
on
why
PC,
this
though,
is my
like
perspective.
PS5, what big IPs do we have any release dates for? Spider-Man DLC aside.
Yeah.
We know by the end of the year, the Destruction game, the Sackboy game, Spider-Man, Demon Souls, their Bugsnax is supposed to be later, but who cares? There's this indie one that looks kind of neat. It's some kind of like flying around.
I'm sorry,
game,
man. To me, both of them are fucked. When it comes to where are our release dates, no one has shit. You got Spider-Man DLC, and you got Destruction All-Stars. That's not a big IP where Sony gamers are like, I'm there now.
Yeah, no, that's not. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't. This ain't 2018. There ain't no God of War and Spider-Man full on the sequel here. And I'm just being honest, as somebody, God of War is probably my favorite game ever made, that or Witcher 3. This ain't those times right now. This is, hang on a second, hope you got a good grip, because it's gonna be a minute. You know, this is Spider-Man DLC year, and for Xbox, this is, hey, Craig ain't got no textures on his head, got delayed year. Other than that, this ain't, you know, we're talking about third parties here.
Yeah.
And Valhalla, I'm glad that got confirmed for 60 on PS5 and the next Xbox, as we always knew it fucking could be. Yeah. That's the big game. Cyberpunk is a week or two after that. I'm playing Spider-Man if I can get a damn PS5 day one, that is. And other than that, you know, even that, I don't have to play there. So there's no real way around it. Neither of them really have shit this year.
Yeah.
And we kind of have to wait.
There's this list I've been like compiling for the past month that's just like, okay, here's the difference between these systems or whatever. And yeah, there's like a list of games that like this will only be on PS5, will not be on the Series X, and this will be on Series X/S, but not be on the PS5. there's a list of that I have, but I don't know if I don't need to read them out because I think we basically established like.
I think you should though, because there's a lot of people in the chat who know the same thing.
So without any interruptions, okay. So here's what I got here, and a lot of these games are holiday 2020 or release window, whatever the hell that means. I'm assuming first quarter,
means like in the
first
next
season.
6 to 8 months, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well then remove Ratchet and Clank off this list then. But other than that, so PS5 at launch, again, none of these games will be on Series, and the Xbox ones, none of them will be on PS5. So there's Astro's Playroom, which on the system, Demon Souls, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Destruction All-Stars, Sackboy Big Adventure, Godfall, Jet the Far Shore, Bug Snacks, Oddworld Soulstorm, and The Pathless. So there's 10. Going to Xbox side of things. Yakuza Like a Dragon, The Falconeer, Tetris Effect Connected, Gears Tactics, The Ascent, The Medium, Call of the Sea, and Scorn. So there's 8. They both have decent things to start with.
I think there's more on both sides than that, by the way.
Yeah,
probably.
But
those are like the most notable names that I could find or whatever.
Spider-Man is the only one out of the PlayStation side that I give a fuck about, and on the Xbox side, I don't really give a fuck about hardly any of them.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, there's some you actually care about on the PlayStation side, and the Xbox one's like,
I don't know. Like, it's very, very.
Yeah,
but that's it. It's totally subjective. It's totally subjective.
Yeah. But Sham's a layman here. He kind of navigates outside the core gaming circles. What do you think? Which one actually entices? Because you said none of those actually.
I've never heard of any of those games apart from ones on the Xbox. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, this ain't. We're in the future now, PlayStation gamers. You know, that's what that's kind of my point. I don't think anyone's
when it comes to gaming, especially. So, but bad publicity is a bad thing. You know, so I'm hearing all these good things coming about Xbox. You know, the ecosystem. You can play it on different platforms and. They're kind of increasing. They're doing all this stuff, and I'm not hearing much positivity coming from Sony side of things. And people like me, I'm now thinking, well, I'd rather be part of the Xbox ecosystem if they're acquiring Bethesda and they're doing all this kind of great stuff. Plus, by the way, their consoles are much smaller form factor, which means a lot actually. If it's a smaller form factor, it means a lot. I mean,
small console for a small man.
Yeah. Okay. To me, all the publicity right now is good. It's coming from Xbox. I don't hear much positivity coming.
Yeah, what was that Bright Memory? Is that not on the launch window? I think Wombiehood said that. Bright Memory, Infinite Memory.
I think Bright Memory is, but not the Infinite, whatever the heck that is.
Bright Memory. I think
because there's a Bright Memory and then there's a Bright Memory Infinite.
I think Bright Memory Infinite is the one is the version that's coming to Xbox, and Bright Memory is already available on PC as just Bright Memory, and it's about £8. So I wouldn't put too much on that one being a massive.
But hey, I play it over fucking Bug Snacks. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Poor old Bug Snacks. Those developers must be crying every time.
I got wiener hands, bitch.
No, but in terms of your original question, though, in terms of the PlayStation and the Xbox and the consumer consensus and what they think and how these consoles are going to do, I think we all know that the PlayStation is going to sell fine. And these big games that cost $70, they're going to sell a bunch of them where they need to. It's gonna. I think their big problem for next gen is because they're charging so much for games, and because the Xbox is so accessible and it's got the power, it's got the accessibility, it's got the price, it's got Game Pass. Sony are going to find a situation where a lot of people, they bought a PlayStation, but they're not buying games on the PlayStation because the services and games are all there on the Xbox that they also got. And suddenly Sony aren't doing so well because they need those third-party games. That's where they sit. They put their feet up. They get their 30%. And those third-party sales are going to be going the Xbox side if it carries on like it is. Yeah. That's how I would see at least the next few years going.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that PlayStation Plus collection thing was like you said, it was like an attempt to try and fill that massive gap. There's a vacuum there. Like I agree with Dealer. I'm trying to get excited for the launch titles for both, and it really
it's really about the big third parties like Valhalla. And when we could flex in the chat, the Medium is launched. I interviewed the developers, bitch. You have to Woomy Hood in the chat.
Oh, nice. So I mean, everyone's gonna be playing Cyberpunk anyway. This is all a moot point. That's the game that's on the minds of everyone. What else is there? I think that, but this is the kind of day one momentum that's gonna move PlayStation away from its market dominance. I don't think I'll call it here right now. I'm always wrong, but I'm telling you here, Microsoft are going to even things out.
Dude, I hope so. That's what I mean. Like, I wasn't trying to like defend PlayStation earlier. It's more so I'm trying to understand the fans that will not let it go. And I just keep trying to tell people, I'm like, I just don't get it. You pay 10 or 15 bucks a month and you get all of these games. And if you don't want the Xbox games, that's fine. Look at all these third-party ones or these indie ones. Like, just get on it. But that's what I mean. I was trying to understand the fans that won't let PlayStation go earlier. But I agree. I hope that you're right. People are saying you're always wrong, Gaz, but I hope that you're right.
Really everybody, people everywhere are saying that you're always wrong. It's not just me.
Please don't let that be the case this time, because I want people to have good value, and I just don't understand how the value that is specifically just Game Pass Ultimate can be argued. I don't know, especially now with this Bethesda thing.
Well, then let's go by the metrics of the Sony fans. Sony, look, Microsoft got these 23 studios. Who's got the better studios? Like, you know what? Actually, when I was compiling this list, it was pretty good on Sony's side. Maybe realized, oh shit, there was a massive gap before. So Sony have Naughty Dog. They have The Last of Us and Uncharted. They've got Guerrilla Games, who kind of redeemed themselves with Horizon Zero Dawn games, Killzone. Insomniac, they got Ratchet and Spider-Man. Insomniac is single-handedly carrying PlayStation 5. Without them, I don't even know what they would have.
At the start, yeah.
Sucker Punch, just Ghost of Tsushima, that was dank. You know, that came out a few months ago. Sick. Media Molecule, they released Dreams, which is critically acclaimed. Little Big Planet, yeah. But yeah, you know, hey. Okay.
I like Little Big Planet. It's a good game. Good game.
Studio Santa Monica, they got God of War, man. They're like dealer's biggest game. That's one of my games of the generation. Polyphony with Gran Turismo, although I think Forza swiped the crown, the racer crown from them quite some time ago. But those are raw studios. Microsoft has. Who are the big studios from Microsoft? Bethesda's come out now.
Like, let's put aside Bethesda, or
no, that's part of the Xbox family.
Okay, I was like, if we're including Bethesda,
so we got Bethesda. You know, for me, id Software. I was a Quake 3 fiend. You know, that working with Xbox is like a wet dream. That's insane. But then you got Bethesda, you got 343, you've got Turn 10, and you've got Playground Games. You've got the variety there. It's insane. Like,
the most acclaimed is going to be Playground, but they've only done one type of game to this point. People are concerned that a racing studio is doing an RPG, but again, that second team has hired Arkham talent, Red Dead talent, BioShock talent. It's not just a racing team there. But I would say the second most acclaimed is Turn 10. They've been so dominant in the racing genre since they've come out. I remember being a Gran Turismo fan and seeing that Forza 1 commercial, and they're like, the critics say better than Gran Turismo. I'm like, bullshit! And I went and played it, like, holy fuck, this game has tires. This is cool. You know, like, wow, the cars actually feel like they're gripping the road. But Turn 10 would definitely be up there. 343, you know, everyone kind of shits on them, and I do too, especially after Craig didn't have textures on his head. But their games usually review in the mid to high 80s, I think. And then after that, their studios are very young. That's the thing with Naughty Dog and all these Sony studios is Turn 10 are Microsoft's oldest studio. Basically, after that, their most significant older studio would be 343, which is formed for Halo 4, right?
Yeah.
Now, what would you say about Rare, though?
Naughty Dog have been around since for like generations of consoles. There really is no comparing like how old and how tested and the veteran status of some of Sony studios, which is really the secret to how they've gotten so good and accrued so much great talent. Naughty Dog is almost unrivaled, right? So there's a big difference there when it comes to how the age of some of these studios. But I mean, safe to say, besides the Bethesda stuff, which again we can't incorporate that now. It's still weird to say, but yeah, the racing studios are definitely their most herald studios.
But they're building the Initiative is some like massive, some secret super studio.
But he tweeted out, "My little kid just got done playing our new game." It's like, what the fuck is she playing? Banjo? Like, what are y'all making over there? I kind of don't like the fact that she's playing this game.
I was the same.
I don't know. I'm not gonna obviously say that in a serious manner, but
Yeah.
I was hoping a little kid wasn't playing it and getting, oh, this is amazing, so I guess we'll fucking see.
I was thinking the same thing. I wanted like a mature game. I think, man, well, that's not Perfect Dark anymore, is it?
Shows what she's looking at. She's curb stomping some guy on the street. It's like, okay, well, maybe she shouldn't be playing that. So I really doubt it's something like that, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we will, but this dude. Tony,
in terms of this question though, like something that they have so much promise with Rare. There's so many great IP Rare owned, and now it's like they're just a Sea of Thieves machine, and now the soon Everwild, which we have no idea what it's gonna be. But they own a lot of neat IPs, and I'm like,
they make new IP. Fuck all this.
They make new IP. So yeah. I don't know. Like I was really hoping that Killer Instinct would be, because that's the one thing I think Xbox is lacking here is a good like JRPG or Japanese like studio, but there's one from Bethesda that could fill that, and a fighting game studio. If they had like those two things, that'd be like, ooh, that's a full roundup, I think. But Dealer's right, there is a lot of like newer studios in here. I think Ninja Theory is so damn promising. I love those guys, and I thought Hellblade was great, and I'm glad that they get to make Hellblade 2 be bigger and better. But
let's just show us some games.
There's a lot of
tell us that's just in Iceland. No one gives a shit where it's set. Just
that was so. I don't know why they did that during the July show, but a lot of these studios, other than maybe Bethesda, because Bethesda's tried and true. Yeah. Xbox is now known as like the Western studio for our Western publisher. I'm messing this up like crazy. Western RPG like manufacturers. Like that's who they are now.
Well, people are talking about how Microsoft too, they got to buy all their studios. Sony create from the ground. It's like, well, if you go look, Sony have bought 6 of their 16 studios.
Yeah.
So really, I mean,
and everything
percentage-wise, yeah, they're both doing the same thing, but Microsoft just stepped up their damn buying game real hard.
Yeah, they keep saying nurture these studios. Now, what do you mean nurture? You want to breastfeed a developer from birth and then make it? It just makes no sense. This is it. This is Sony.
Some developers are freaky, guys. Leave them alone. Shit.
Call me if you are one of those.
Shout out to over 300 people watching, by the way. Since Gaz don't know how to do his job, hit the like button.
There is.
Share this out, retweet it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for showing back up.
We got back to that original number because I think that's where we were kind of at before. So that's awesome.
Stream crashed earlier. Tune into earlier in this episode of Dragon Ball Z to find out
why. Speaking of Dragon Ball Z, Asa, what do you think, man? You'd be sitting there quietly,
about
and
Dragon
you're quite
Ball.
Diplomatic. You're a massive Dragon Ball fan, are you not?
Oh, okay. It's like, what does that do?
I'm going to give you a sense of being. Don't worry. What do you about the comparative? You're quite diplomatic with these things, but the comparative might of the two console makers and the studios that now they harness. Who do you think, without being too diplomatic, has the strongest outfit?
Do you know, I'm going to turn that around a little bit because it's not just the it's not just the studios that they've got. So they've both got masses of talent. We know what Sony's, as Dilla was saying, they're well established. We know what Sony's studios are going to do. We know the kind of game that they've got on lock and they're going to pump out for the duration of the generation, and people are going to buy those. We know that. But the thing that separates the way that these studios operate is going to be Game Pass again. Yeah. So Microsoft are acquiring all of these studios. Are they going to be able to give them that 5-year development time, that 2,000 people working on The Last of Us 2 for a 70 quid game? So we know that Microsoft, I mean, they might charge 70 quid for the games, but they're going on Game Pass. Not so many people are going to be buying them. Sony say they can't accommodate the Game Pass model because their games are so expensive. So can these studios that Microsoft are acquiring be given the same kind of time and budget to match that output?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Yeah, I mean, Phil has been very vocal about that. That's part of why they ended up pushing Halo back. And it's almost like the more games they have in development, the easier it is for them to push games back, because they're more, now that they have Game Pass, about keeping a regular release cycle. Remember that 4 AAAs every year, every quarter or some crap, right?
Yeah.
Oh, people really ran with that, and it was really 4 big games every quarter or every year or some crap. That doesn't mean AAA to them. Phil, Ori 2 is a big game, where some people wouldn't consider that a big game.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. They want to release several games a year, like Netflix want to release several shows a year to keep your subscription going. And this is kind of their motivation. So now they have more studios, more teams. they can now slot those in and push and move and shuffle these things around. So if something's not ready, they always have something that kind of is, right? At least that's what I get from their comments and stuff like that from interviews.
Yeah.
And
they're making a constant stream, because that's the beautiful thing right now, is that, especially now, you know,
They
because
call it the R. Kelly internally. That's the code name for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a consistent flowing river, though. That's what we're getting now. It's just a consistent stream of content all the time. So
it is, and you look at Avowed in particular, and the games that they have announced from these big studios, and there's not really an indication there that they're not going to go big with their budget.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully they've got enough studios that they can pump out both types of games. But
yeah,
I don't know. The Last of Us is such an extreme example of and Naughty Dog in particular are just given so much time to work on every tiny detail of their game, and the same for Sony Santa Monica.
Is anybody making games that detailed? Like, I want Microsoft to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best case scenario. That and Sony Santa Monica. I want those kind of games from Microsoft. I want that kind of detail, and that kind of detail comes from time. And you're right, 5-year development cycles. I think it's fully plausible. I don't, because like Avowed, they've already said this is going to be the biggest game we've ever made by far.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, from inception, they know this thing is going to go on Game Pass. So right now, I'm going to go off what they're handing us, which is no indication that it's going to hold it back whatsoever. And hopefully that remains the case.
Yeah.
And I think you brought up a good point with Halo Infinite, because I was telling people that wasn't just because that was a big potential, like that hit the intro sales for Series S and X probably hard, even though they're selling out whatever. But like, to me, the win about that in terms of the Xbox side of things was that that's them showing they don't want to release an unfinished game. They want the games that they make now to be like fully what the developer wants it to be. That was a great sign of trust. And I listen to all these other podcasts. Huh?
Is this Halo your site?
Halo Infinite. Sorry, yeah, Halo Infinite.
Okay.
But I say that because I listen to all these other podcasts, and like none of them thought that they would actually delay Halo Infinite with that technical showcase, because they just thought, like how that what better launch title could there be for an Xbox than Halo? And you can argue like, but what if it was shitty? Exactly. I agree. And they agreed too, but nobody thought that Xbox would actually be willing to commit to that.
But that was Phil Spencer's call, because he had
but that's exactly because Phil sees the development of these things.
Yeah,
and that's what the point I'm getting at is they're trying to release these games at the best quality they can be. So the whole like, oh, they're not putting as much money into these games, dude, that was a very bold move.
Yeah.
They're putting that kind of thing into these games. A
lot of people didn't. They decided not to get an Xbox because of that day one, right? Not that they could or they wanted to. Fuck, they didn't make enough of them this year. But at the end of the day, I think that Bethesda announcement already tsunami'd that negativity. And again, there's a reason they released that information the day before pre-orders. Yes. I mean, I think it pushed a lot of people. They were on the fence on one side or another.
Yeah. No, they pushed it back. I don't think citing Halo as example of a delay is like, reinforcing confidence of me, because a shit Halo game would have been a lot more damaging than a Halo game that was there at launch, but was crap. In fact, Bonnie Ross spoke, and I think it was Matt Booting.
Bonnie Ross should get the fuck out of the studio and let the problem stems from management, and internally there's people mad at the top of 343, and at the end of the day, I don't know what she does there. I feel like there should be someone else in charge. Third time is not a charm. Get the fuck out of the way. Yeah. The game wasn't even gonna have ray tracing at launch. You're talking about a system that you've touted nothing but the most power, and you're not even gonna have ray tracing at launch. But not only that, your damn characters don't have. There's screenshots that look like they're straight out of Roblox from that build of Halo.
Yeah. Man,
there's an entire podcast to have here, and I want to be a part of that. If you want to talk about Halo, I mean, that's there why all day.
At RDX, man, when we saw that, we said, no, you guys need to put Craig Infinite back in the fucking oven. It's a problem when Domino's is taking shots at all people.
Oh, that was fun.
It's time to make this shit look a lot better than it's going to look, because there's no excuse with this kind of power on the table for this game to look like this.
Where is the power, though, guys? We keep talking power. I have not seen an example of an Xbox Series X game.
We see more Series S gameplay than Series X.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, I think when people see Valhalla, they'll be like, holy shit, okay, this was not possible. Frame rates off the charts, the fidelity on top of that. I mean, I think people will see that day one with Valhalla. But yeah, Microsoft had not done a good job leveraging that and showing that either. And I think that, you know, there's some, I mean, Sony haven't either, let's be honest, for the most part.
Well,
but
I think
you know,
Ratchet,
I think Microsoft has done a particularly poor job given the amount of power they have in the box. You know, they didn't even show a demo of Valhalla running, you know?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I heard you started talking, Gaz, and I'm kind of with you there. I think PlayStation's been doing a great job of showing that.
I think they showed an example. Yeah, you know, the Ratchet and Clank and, you know, the Portal stuff. That stuff.
That's
cool.
Souls
looks
that's
great.
Stuff that can only be done with the SSD and all that. But I'm talking like,
yeah.
All right. It's technically impressive with the amount of like destruction and particles on screen and the teleportation and the little set pieces. That stuff's cool. But when it comes to raw graphics from real time, something you can be able to play at launch, nobody has really done anything close to what I thought we might see.
Yeah, DocCMF in the chat. Thank you for 300 people plus joining the chat. Am I doing my job right, dealer? Thank you so much.
Finally, yes. You're on your way.
I'm there. DocCMF says Hellblade 2, and that's the thing. You showed it to us last year, and you know the in-engine. I have questions on how in-engine.
Exactly. It wasn't like this, like Halo we're seeing on screen right now.
Yeah,
that's why I don't bring up Hellblade 2, because Hellblade 2, from what we saw, was actually the only next-gen looking thing we've seen out of anyone right now.
Oh, 100%.
But it's not exactly like we're seeing with Halo right now, the Nintendo 64 version we're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
Something that's actually not running at 24 frames a second. We've always counted that out, pointed that out. It needs to be running at least 30. We know it'll have 60 mode because they said the standard will be 60 for all their games. But, you know, 30 at least, like, camera perspective, from gameplay perspective of the character, of the player, like Halo Infinite footage here. And we haven't seen that. So I don't bring up Hellblade as much as I would love to.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think so. I think that's going to be, you know, they would show it. I know people are making excuses saying that, you know, the mocap suffered because of
show me some damn rocks or some landscapes or something. Like, that's something they could have did. You know,
showed a lot
instead of coming out and being like, it's in Iceland.
To kind of transition this, I mean, I don't know if we're trying to get to another spot, but just to kind of transition this back to potentially the main topic at hand, I am curious what the shared technology that Bethesda is going to do with, you know, Xbox. I'm curious, like, how that's going to work out, and if we're going to see some neat stuff from that. Maybe somebody proposed the greatest thing. I'm like, it's way too late for this.
Engine on Halo.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, somebody will say, like, what if there was a Halo game with ID software? I was just like,
I mean, I
bro,
think this engine,
way too late for that, but
I think Switchbase is more capable than id Tech right now. I just think it's not. It's not ready.
Yeah,
like, it's one of the most advanced engines of all time, according to what I think one of their lead engine programmers is a guy from Crytek. I mean, these guys, they know what they're doing. It's just the shit's not ready, and that was more than evident when we first saw it. We know that that's the case. We've seen third-party games today, like Red Dead 2, Metro, and even Doom Eternal, that look better than Halo Infinite. There is no excuse for this other than the shit's not ready. And I don't think it's an engine problem. I think it's a time and management problem. It's a direction problem. They've had multiple creative directors for a reason. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. They've got a bunch of contractors in there. At the end of the day, it's a very capable engine, but it's not being leveraged like it could be. But id Tech does now belong to Microsoft. So you got one of the most advanced engines now, again, next to some other very advanced engines. And id Tech 6 is looking, or is it 7 at this point? I think it's 6, right? I don't know. id Tech is very, very beautiful. Doom Eternal, by the way, in Game Pass, I think October, right?
Yeah, October.
Yeah, October 1st.
That shit is, you know, if you see it on an Xbox One X HDR, it's one of the, I think it's one of the most beautiful games.
Another thing on top of that, October 1st, but you also, I'm curious to see this. They said if you own Doom Eternal, then you get the free smart delivery upgrade in November or whenever we're ready for it.
120 frames.
That applies to Game Pass as well.
Remember when everyone was like, there's no way you'll get 120 frames on the Series X? It's like, yeah, not only that, you'll get on the Series S as well. And it's going to be coming to a lot more games than you think. Doom is certainly one of those games.
That game is going to be so great with more frames.
Asa, you actually mentioned an interesting theory on why you think Halo isn't ready. This is to save Bonnie Ross's job.
It's interesting that people want Bonnie Ross to go, but can't actually identify what she's been doing. But it's definitely wrong.
No, because she's in charge of that whole studio.
She is in charge of that whole studio.
So management down. If the
responsibility is at the top, I know. But
yep.
So the Xbox games that we've seen, and particularly things that are running on the Series X, we've seen virtually no ray tracing. So my theory is that it's just not ready within the Xbox Series development tools. A lot of developers have talked about the fact that they're going to have it. We've seen some PC demos, but the only things we've seen on the Xbox of ray tracing are Forza 8. They didn't actually say specifically was on the Xbox, but I'm pretty sure it was, or was at least as good as you can get, because Turn 10 are an incubator studio for Microsoft, and they're going to be the ones that are playing with that technology first, just like they were with DirectX 12 and everything else. And we've seen Minecraft, which is collaboration with NVIDIA, who had already done most of the work there. So it works in that sense. We've seen it really in some core studios at Microsoft, where they incubate their new technologies. We've seen a little bit of it in Gears 5 as well. And again, the Coalition are a studio that they use in that way. It just doesn't seem to have spread elsewhere yet. And I know that 343 are a massive studio, but they've never been used to showcase new technology in that same way. And with the whole, it sounds like an excuse, but the COVID thing that they've got going around, I just don't think Microsoft's tools have been where they need to be for these games to show their ray tracing, show their performance.
That hasn't stopped Sony, though.
It hasn't stopped Sony.
Even as limited as it is, Miles has shown off some limited software ray tracing. Watch Dogs Legion apparently is going to have ray tracing on Series X day one. There's been some murmurings of Valhalla having ray tracing as well. I mean, I don't know why they're not showing the stuff off. I think it does fall on Xbox to show the stuff off a little more, or at least explain, like they did with Halo Infinite initially. Well, it's not going to be there at launch. Let people know, or it looks lazy.
And just recently, as well as another kind of example that supports the theory a bit, is the Devil May Cry Special Edition. They're bringing ray tracing later as a patch on the Xbox. It's there day one on the PlayStation, but they can't get it there on the Xbox on day one. They only come out 2 days apart, so I don't know. I think there's something going on there with ray tracing. Ray tracing is an interesting one because we've also not seen it on the PlayStation beyond 30 frames per second, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So it's going to be. There are clearly some challenges around it, and it's exciting.
I think we've seen it in Gran Turismo. That little piece of gameplay, but I mean, I would assume unless they've only gotten the cockpit area, right, and some of these other, unless they get rid of it while you're racing, which I really doubt, then yeah, we haven't seen it beyond 30.
That's an interesting one. I really hope Halo has ray tracing day one. It better have, because they're, like you say, Dealer, they're on their third strike. Halo 4, like I said this on the RDX podcast, they had a good story, but the multiplayer, which is the crucial bit, was absolutely copy and paste from them. Bonnie Ross has admitted this from Call of Duty. They had no vision. Halo 5 had a really, really, really shit story, but the multiplayer was really hard to get right. And they got it right. They did really well. It was one of the best Halo multiplayers, in my opinion, for a long time. But,
I agree.
And Halo Infinite needs to get both right. Yeah, day one, they stumbled. The 2018 demo, but this is the most scathing thing about Halo Infinite. You released that demo in 2018 showing what Halo Infinite's engine can do, and we did a waxing lyrical on it. And it looked amazing.
Yes, I got to take a second to point out that magnificent, slick GameOnDaily.com UI in the background. Is that one of the best user interfaces I've seen on a website? Oh, but then a PlayStation logo popped up. Fuck me. Look, I'm trying to mention how great this website looks, and then you bring up this trailer. Yeah. This trailer looks great too. This Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden Rio, or whatever the sequel's called. This shit's gonna run on the PS4. Look how good it looks, man. I thought it was held back.
But thank you for reminding me. And for all the guys out there who don't actually know what Game On Daily. Game On Daily is a news aggregation site built for you guys. The content you see there is from people submitted. Anyone can submit content. If you're a budding, podcaster, you submit and content. That's where you share it. If you're a budding game journalist or you want to be someone in the industry, Game On Daily is the one for you. It's heavy in development, and that's the one place where you get all your gaming news. Dealer uses it. It's got to be good, right?
I do. It's good. It's really good.
And thank you for reminding me that I'm fucking in the corner of Game On Daily. I'm just enjoying the banter. I'm just fucking loving the talk. I'm just loving the chat. Thank you guys, everyone in the chat. You guys are bosses. Thank you so much. But yeah,
I was gonna interrupt all that. I'm like, weren't we supposed to be talking about Bethesda?
Oh shit! And guys, if you're on Game On Daily, we're giving away 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right.
Okay, one of them has already won. Chris, whoever the hell you are, you won this last week, but I don't know where you are, so I'm saying.
I claim it.
Whatever it is, I want it.
We've got 3 of these. Just leave a comment on Game On Daily, just and then PM me. I'll do a live giveaway. You guys can win. This probably appreciate in value because Nintendo want to be dicks and say this is limited release till March. After that, they won't even sell you the digital version. Sorry, that's a dickhead move. That's why I bought 5 of these, one for myself, and then to give them away to you guys. And it's a great collection of games despite the weird practice around it. Nintendo, what are you doing? But yeah, thank you. And thank you, Dealer, for reminding me how to do my job. Dealer for president. Yes, God's Geek, for sure.
Credit to God's Geek. I don't want that responsibility, though.
Yeah, you're used to it, man. This is your game. One competitor that's come up out of nowhere that might actually be the real competition for Xbox. We keep talking about Sony, and you're laughing about it, Tony. But you know what?
I know where we're going.
Look, Amazon, they don't mess around. If you've seen The Boys, that's a sick program, by the way. It's
one-day delivery at no charge. Yeah, I mean, if they can do that, they can do anything.
Exactly. Well, they're a powerhouse. And Amazon Luna, is that the real competitor to Xbox? Tony, since you're laughing in my face, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, no. So you say to Xbox, no. To xCloud.
Sorry, yeah. Let's say the thing. Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, admittedly, like I need to look into more of this myself, to be honest, because my friend just sent me this link and I like browsed through it. I'm like, oh, that's neat. It at least has a library. Looking at Google Stadia, whatever the heck it was called. But like, at least you actually have a library. It looks like for people to choose from. That's cool. Yeah. I don't remember what the price is. What's the price?
That starter price of $5.69.
Introductory price, yeah. $6 a month or whatever.
If it's $6 a month, that's promising. I'm not gonna dismiss it. Like you guys might notice, like I do my best to play devil's advocate. I have my preferences, but I do my best to like justify what everybody's doing. But I definitely have my preferences. But yeah, this $6 is nice. I think $6 is cool. If you don't want to get Game Pass Ultimate for $15, because that's the thing, you have to get Ultimate in order to use xCloud, if I believe. Then this might be an alternative for you, maybe. I don't know. That's the one thing I give it. As long as they have a library at launch, then that's kind of cool. But
Dealer, what have your sources that might tell you about Looper? Are they worried about Looper? Sorry, hi, Assassin Looper.
Assassin Looper.
Amazon Looper. No, Amazon Looper.
Look, I don't know that much about it. Do you have to code games specifically for it?
It's Windows software, they've said, so probably not.
Yeah.
Tweak it to their NVIDIA hardware, but not.
Did they have to port it at all?
I wouldn't think very much so, because it is just NVIDIA hardware and Windows.
Well, if they
software.
do, they're fucked. That was the thing that really did Stadia in, was you got to port these games to Stadia. The beauty of xCloud is you make an Xbox game. There's no work on behalf of any developer. You just go. You say, hey, yeah, I want that to be streamable, and you go. And if they don't enable this kind of accessibility compatibility, which again, the odds are stacked against them.
Yeah. Not
that it can't happen. Competition's good, but they've got to have everything people want at the price that's right. That's, the path of least resistance for the developers, right? So if developers having a hard time working on this and it's easier to do something else, they're going to do something else. It's been shown time and time again. And again, that's the beauty of xCloud. It feeds back into itself. You make an Xbox game, it just works. And you get all those customers on all those mobile devices. It's ingenious, really. And it really does stack the deck in Microsoft's favor. On the back of an ecosystem they've spent a decade or so legitimizing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. I don't know enough about it. I don't really give a shit about streaming. But if it's an option and it is competition, then I'm all for it. Especially if it's $6 a month, like you said. How many titles are they going to have? Do they have any information out there?
Put that on our agenda, but I kind of lost interest as soon as I saw streaming. So I'll be honest with you, I'm with you. Yeah, it's like I don't think it's
going to be a battleground for the future, because the people that I mean, there's a massive audience for services like Netflix and Amazon Prime that deliver TV shows in a quality that I would say is not up to my taste. I'm a fan of the Blu-ray and the disc still. That applies to gaming as well. There is going to be an audience at some point that's not really there yet, but Google, Amazon, Microsoft, PlayStation, they've all identified it. They're all going to go for it, and they've all got their strengths in that space.
Yeah,
Xbox have the catalog there.
Yeah, and they're going to have to get, by the time they get up and running, you know, Sony are going to go the same route as xCloud, right? Everything that works on make it for a PlayStation, we're going to stream it to your phone. I mean, there's going to be some serious competition there against some already well-established install bases. And, you know, again, Amazon has its work cut out for it. But at the end of the day, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's hard to imagine anything overturning xCloud at this moment, but Microsoft have fucked up before. I guess we'll have to see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I saw it's... Sorry, you go ahead, Isaac.
I was just going to say, in terms of what their strengths are. So Amazon's big point that they can leverage is Twitch. Yeah. So their angle is that you're watching a game on Twitch and you want to play it. You hit a little banner or button and you're playing it, and that's powerful for them. YouTube is more powerful. YouTube has a wider audience, less gaming focused, but a wider audience. So you can see Google's way in as well. Once they sort out their pricing model and the rest of it, they've got something they can leverage. And Sony have PlayStation, the name. It's still, much as Xbox is doing great, PlayStation is the worldwide name for gaming. So,
and I think ultimately though, it's going to come down to the path of least resistance, right, for developers. So right now, Microsoft have it in spades with make an Xbox game, it automatically works on xCloud, no extra work on your end. That is number one. That means you have thousands of titles day one that could potentially be in the service. And that wins right there. Yeah. And not to mention
against path of least resistance for the user as well, though, because developers are paid to develop.
That's what I was.
So pull out your phone, hit an app icon, and you're gone. You know, that's again very, very easy, very, very accessible. Not only that, but your console streaming, all that stuff, right? So, and all cross save, cross buy, all in Game Pass already. There's so many. It's so easy. Yeah. Except for unless you're an iPhone user, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah, which I'm sure they'll.
But again, I think first and foremost, the most important things are who can get the latency down the lowest.
Yeah,
can do it most effectively and make it just remove those barriers of entry for developers. Therefore, the gamers will come. And right now, Microsoft have that.
They've got the foundation.
Will that remain the case? We don't know, and time will tell.
Yeah, no.
I think the more I saw another thing somebody said in the chat was it's more of a competition against Stadia, and I would definitely
Stadia
say
is its own fucking competition. It's trying not to kill itself right now. So
because
right now, Stadia
does Stadia even have like a library?
Stadia has a thing where you can stream, but you can't play anything locally, but you can also pay more than everyone else, but you can also have more latency than everyone else half the time. And some other times everything's better, but then developers have to port to basically Linux or some shit to get their game there in the first place. It's like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on?
Because the point that I was going to make is that, yes, I think the developer thing is super important, but just completely like if it's just a total casual gamer that just looks at these services and goes like, okay, what's on this? What's on this? What's on this? None of the behind the scene details or whatever. That's why I'm saying I think this Amazon thing is neat because at least they have a library and nobody has to buy a game like I was hearing Stadia had to do. People were saying like, yeah, you have to buy one of these games and there's only like 18 to buy. I was like, what are you talking about? And that's what I'm liking to hear is just that there's actual library.
A different take on it, you know, yeah.
It just says for all this streaming to work, you need to get people to stop knocking down 5G aerials. Fair point. Maybe then
they're taking over our minds. It's mind control.
Yeah. Stop COVID-19 that way. Amazon has some pretty good launch titles though, Tony. They've got Resident Evil 7, Control, okay, I take it back.
A bunch of Metro Exodus on it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. They've got Grid. They've got Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Yeah.
A lot of the same games as Stadia, so you can see which developers are willing.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with you. The Xbox has the foundation, right? Everything is there, and coming from a console environment, it's easier to make the jump because it's an option, isn't it? Whereas this is a system you subscribe to separately Discord.
Yeah, if you're in the Xbox ecosystem, just stick with xCloud.
Yeah, they've added xCloud to an already phenomenal value that will now include all Bethesda games for essentially free. Game Pass Ultimate, right? So they've added it into something that people were already like, wow, this is a great deal. Yeah. I mean, the deck really is stacked. I'm not saying that as somebody who prefers the ecosystem. I understand the value of competition. If not for Microsoft getting fucking the shit beat out of it in 2013, it would not be here today. Yeah. And I'm saying it as somebody who just has weighed the odds and always questioned people that backed Stadia. What the fuck are you talking to? They have to make these games, port them specifically to Stadia, without these guys understanding that these games just work on xCloud, no work on the developer at all. That by itself is massive.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, that's what she said. So, no, but I agree with you. And really, this is it. That means Xbox is set up in almost every different every realm. They've got the Xbox had no games. They can't say that anymore with the straight face. You know, Xbox has no power. Well, now they got the most powerful console in the world. You know, Xbox is too expensive.
Now they got the most studios. Now they got some of the most legendary IP. Now they got all the power. Now they've got the flexibility through PC. Now they got the best games rental service and Game Pass.
Yeah.
They're gonna need to release a stand, so they've still got the tallest console.
Yeah, they've already got they do need that moniker. They don't have that with PS5.
Yeah, I don't say that they're going into this gen very different to how they came in 2013.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very Microsoft has never looked stronger. Even the 360 days, its advantage was that its console was developer friendly and it was releasing a year before its competition that didn't even consider it a black belt or things Ken Kutaragi
back then they weren't even making games hardly, guys. They didn't even own their own the best teams. They had very few IP that were out there generating any real hype. Gears wasn't even owned by them. They finally owned Halo once Bungie left and they got a team behind that, but they weren't making anything back then. They relied almost solely on third-party exclusives and support. And it really set them up for the L that was 2013 and up until they started buying these studios in 2017. Yeah. And they've come full circle and a lot of people are starting to see what Phil has been talking about for quite a while.
Yeah. So that kind of brings it to full circle with the topic of this discussion. Has it flipped the script? And I would say it has, but not so much flipped it. It's worked progressively towards this end goal. And now it's the perfect storm with all that pieces have now aligned properly. Cloud, pricing, consumer sentiment, the game studios. This is what my video was about on why Phil Spencer saved Xbox. And all that stuff is now lined up. And that's the perfect storm, which is why I think Xbox are ready to deliver a killer blow to Sony, not fatally, but that it's great for everyone. If you're a PlayStation gamer as well, the competition is going to be crazy. Sony need PlayStation to do well. Without PlayStation, though, Sony would have gone by the wayside. Kaz Hirai said this in 2013. He was very, very frank about it. So, PlayStation will fight back. They ain't got the money to buy studios. They might take a loan out for like a timed exclusive or something, but they will still fight back. Those studios will still produce quality. It's just that Xbox has a lot more now, a lot more ammo, and I just think it's going to be an amazing, amazing gen all round. Absolutely. No, yeah, I think kind of we've covered everything. I could talk to you guys for ages, but we've kind of gone past our 1.5 hour mark.
Can you at least explain what like a killer blow that's not fatal is? I'm still working that through.
It just punches your kidney.
It's been a good discussion. We had a lot of good stuff earlier too before we got cut off. Thanks to that Teletubbies fan fiction we're watching on YouTube. But again, I mean, guys, if you joined us, hit the like button, tell a buddy, subscribe, and thanks to everyone who showed up and helped us break some records here on the channel.
Yeah, thank you so much,
guys. I want to give you a quick plug in because everybody watching, Gaz was just mentioning it. He did this video about how Phil Spencer turned Xbox around, and that is why, to me, that Xbox is such a compelling story right now. You can watch somebody win all the time, but when you see somebody fall and rise again, it's a much more compelling story. And Phil Spencer is a big reason for that. And if you guys haven't watched the video, you should watch it. Just a quick plug into you.
Yeah, no,
I watched it. I think it's a good video.
Yeah, thank you. And that, I always root for the underdog. Microsoft is a big company. It sounds weird to call it an underdog, but it has been. and it's been very transparent, and so that's why I support that transparency. I think gamers are starting to see that. So thanks a lot. As we do the outros, I want to say thank you, everyone. Please do check out gameondaily.com. If you want to win one of these, just type in on Twitter #GameOnDaily and type in "dealer is saucy." Then you may stand a chance to win one of these. Saucy, SAUCY, nothing else. Honestly, before we end it, I would really sincerely like to thank our guests. First and foremost, Tony, you're an amazing guy. I just came across you on YouTube. Everyone check out this is how I came across Tony, Samurai KBG. His reaction to the Xbox One. What you do? Xbox One series.
We're the same shirt. We're the same shirt.
Yeah, so we're the same shirt. You have to watch that. The reaction to when Series X came out nowhere on the VGA Awards, it was amazing. Do check it out. The link is in the description. Hopefully, or maybe might not be. Type in Samurai KBG after this whole thing crashed. So thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you?
Thank you so much. You could just literally Google Samurai Kibaji and you'll find YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. On Twitch every Monday and Thursday. New videos every week covering game hype. I love game hype. I really do.
That's good.
It's a good
year
for
the way
that.
You cover it. Brilliant. And last but not least, Dealer, you have supported us from the inception when we started doing YouTube, and I don't think people realize, how nice you are as a guy. We kick jokes, but you genuinely took an interest in our platform. You're always there, even going through some stuff. You reached out, and I feel guilty that it sounds like business, but I don't want it to be like that. After COVID-19 goes away, we're gonna.
Hey, I get it, man. It's fine. Trust me.
But
you're going through stuff, and the time you do you're like, well, shit, gotta do this now. So, Gaz and I, we talk a lot behind the scenes, not as much as we probably would like. We're both busy guys, but have Gaz on the show several times, and Gaz had me on here, and honestly, when I first stumbled upon the site, I'm not just shilling for no reason here. I'm shilling because it's actually a good site, and I've said this over and over and over. It's one of the most slick UIs I've seen. They don't steal revenue from sites and creators. They get the community involved, and it's going to take time to grow the platform. But I mean, there are grand visions here, and it's a unique perspective and approach on something that they're doing here, and it's just well laid out. It's easy to find what you're looking for. I mean, shit, if you don't know how to read, there's different colors: blue for PlayStation, green for Xbox. I mean, it's very, very simple. So check out the link if there's a link down below. I'm sure that Gaz put that down there, surely. And give the site a check. I use this site all the time. And thanks for having me on, Gaz. I'll do my own outro.
Yeah.
Find me at dealer_gaming on Twitter. You can find me on I on Xbox Live. You can find me on YouTube at Dealer Gaming. And you know what? You can find me every Tuesday night on, I guess, what is the world's largest Xbox podcast, RDX. Where we do have a phenomenal community of gamers, awesome people in the chat here, and just everyone that supports what we do. And we try to keep things from the perspective of people that might prefer the platform while not railing on shit constantly on one side or the other, but trying to make it funny, lighthearted, and energetic. Nobody wants to hear boring fucks up here talking about the same thing everyone else is talking about every week. We try to have some fun. And again, Gaz and these guys got some charisma going for them. Give them a like, subscribe, and check us out over at Dealer Gaming on YouTube.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, guys, and thank you, Asa. Do we need an outro? Me and you're kind of like joined at the hip now. But that sounded wrong. But yeah.
It did, no. We're very socially distanced, and yeah, I can have a mini outro. Yeah, Asa_GameOnDaily on every platform you can think of: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, PlayStation, Xbox, everything there is. That's it. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming along. We are going to close off. There is a nice little montage that plays at the end of the show, so just stick around for a couple of minutes. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And unless you've got anything else to say, guys, I'm going to kill it there.
Well, Sham,
hey,
you've been smoking your e-cig all day. Just tell.
I feel I'm pretty high right now.
And there it is. And that's all we need to hear there, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank
Love
you, everyone.
You guys. Peace.